welcome to Everyday Cooking. I'm Carleen Brooks, and today we're going to be cooking a pork tenderloin, and we're going to cook it in a roaster oven instead of the regular oven. All I had to do today with this pork was to marinate it. It marinated in the sauce for about 4 hours, and we're just going to have to put it in the oven and to let it cook. You cook it for like every 5 minutes for every pound that you have. You don't want to cook it too long because you don't want to dry it out. So now this is what the pork looked like after I had marinated it for a couple hours. I'm going to put aluminum foil over the top of it, and then I'm going to put it into the roaster oven. I'm also going to show you how I cook sweet potatoes. It's not going to be nothing fancy because this is everyday cooking. The fancy sweet potato comes when it's time to cook for Thanksgiving. But now we're just going to cook simple pork tenderloin with some candied sweet potatoes and some string beans. Let's put this pork into this roaster oven. This is the roaster oven that we're going to be using. It's like electric stove. You know, it gets hot, it cooks, it has its own temperatures. Like it starts at 150 and it'll go all the way up to 450 degrees. But we're going to put this pork tenderloin in a 350 degree oven for about maybe an hour, hour and a half. Just sit your pot down in there and put your lid on it. You leave your lid on it and you let it cook. You have a see-through glass and everything, the top. Now, we want to do our sweet potatoes. I have our sweet potatoes cut up. All I have to do is just add some sugar. You know, this is simple everyday cooking, so I'm not going to be taking the sugar out of the bag and putting it all in bowls and stuff. I'm just going to pour what I think is enough amount for sugar. And you put the sugar to how sweet you want your candied sweet potatoes. Sometimes I add like oranges. I add like a lot of them. You can add pineapples to it if you want. You know, you can add basically any kind of fruit that you would like to have, but you want to cook your sweet potatoes first. Sometimes I add apples to it. That's another time. That's when I do it for Thanksgiving. We're going to add a stick of butter. Then we're going to add some cinnamon. You don't want too much cinnamon because then it'll get too dark and it tastes too much like cinnamon. Cinnamon is strong, so you don't want to add too much. Just enough to give it a little flavor. Some people add nutmeg and all of that. They add marshmallows. They add a lot of things. For me, I add simple sugar, cinnamon, and a little bit of vanilla. About maybe a tablespoon. To me, that is my tablespoon. Then we're going to bring it to a boil. Once we bring it to a high boil, then we're going to turn it down and let it cook slow until they get nice and tender. So let's take this to the stove. Let's move the coffee pot, tea kettle, turn this on, and let it cook. Also, I have water already on the stove. Let me get this here. I have water on the stove because we're going to be making some macaroni and cheese. Quick macaroni and cheese. So I have the water boiling. Let me get some salt here. I'm going to salt the water. Notice when you put salt in boiling water, it'll boil up even more. So you have to be careful. So while this water is boiling, put the sugar over here and lay the sugar on this piggy. We're going to put in our macaroni. We want to cook our macaroni dante. You don't want to cook your macaroni too done because then they get too soft because you realize you're going to put them in the oven. But like I said, We might put this in the roaster oven, and then we might put it in the stove. I was trying not to turn the oven on the stove. Let's see the outcome of this one.
Tonight is the night to really party it out.
And I only use the half a box of macaroni because I'm only cooking a small amount today. I don't need a big amount of macaroni. Then once you put it into your water, you want to always stir your pasta because you don't want them to stick together. So stir it up to just loosen it. You're just doing this to loosen up your macaroni, so it won't be too thick. Not too thick, so it won't stick together. Like I always say, you might hear me say something wrong and then have to turn around and correct it, because this is a live cooking show. It's not a test cooking show. This was never practiced. So I'm not perfect, so I will make some mistakes, but I'm gonna always try to bring it back and correct it so you can cook the right way. Like this one, for instance. Tilt your lid because pasta will boil over, that starch will boil up. I'm also going to put on some string beans. I'm going to open up a couple cans of string beans and we're going to pour it into the grease that I have on the stove. I had the fat that I took off the pork shoulder. I fried it up, and I want to take the grease from the pork shoulder, and I'm going to cook my string beans in there. And then I'm just going to put a little salt, a little pepper in my string beans, a little bit of seasoned onion powder, garlic powder, and that should cook down. And it should give your string beans a very good taste. But I'm opening up these cans, and then I'm going to get my strainer and I'm going to strain these string beans because I'm going to check on this here. You can always lower your pot when you're cooking your pasta. You don't have to have it on high the whole time because you don't want it to keep boiling over. So we're going to lower the temperature on this here pasta. Well, we have this on, the fat is on for the string beans. You got your grease cooking, warming up for the string beans. Now we're going to rinse these string beans off because you don't want to cook them in, you can hear the fat from there. You don't want to cook them in the water that they come in. But you're going to put some water into your pot. Be careful when you're putting your string beans in because they're wet and you know that grease is going to splash. You hear that? Listen to that sizzle of those string beans. Take your can and just fill it up with some water, and you only need 1 can of water. Into your string beans, and then you want to add your seasonings. I'm sitting all of this over here in the corner so I can get it out of my way. So that's your string beans. We're going to add some black pepper, onion powder, and some garlic. And that's all. Then you're going to bring them to a boil. Then you're going to turn them down and let them cook, so they can get all that seasoning into your string beans. This is just simple 1, 2, 3 steps. I'm trying to show you something fast and quick that you can do.
Choose 18-month special financing on purchases over $599 when you use your Lowe's consumer credit card.
It won't take you long to cook this everyday meal.
Never stop improving. Offers valid today. Excludes mistakes.
Now, that's it for your string beans. Then we'll come back later and we'll check all of this to see the doneness and everything. Now remember, the marinade that I had the pork tenderloin in, I have it here on the stove. You can't see it because I get to the back. But I'm cooking it down. And then once it gets done, cook it until it gets like nice and thick. Then once it gets done and your pork gets done, you can slice your pork up. Remember, you don't want to cut your pork as soon as you take it out, as soon as it gets done. You want to let it sit and rest because you want that pork to stay juicy. But once you slice it up, then you take your marinade that you had cooked down real low, slow, and so you drizzle it over your pork. Now we're cutting up some cheese to make our macaroni and cheese. It doesn't have to be in perfect chops. You know, just cut them in your kind of way because you're going to melt it down. And some milk. You're going to add some milk and some egg and some butter to your cheese. I add regular Longhorn cheese, and also I'll add some sour cream and some butter and some milk and some eggs to my mixture. But first I put in the milk. I done strained the macaroni, so that's in the strainer. So now we're getting ready to make our milk mixture. Some people, I'm going to do it right here on the stove, pour about how much milk you want. I use about maybe a half a cup of milk. Some people take and they add like a flour base to their milk to make it thick, to have like a bechamel thing. To me, just add your milk, and your eggs is what's going to hold it together. They don't like to think that the egg is going to hold it together, but I add an egg to mine, and I add all of this while it's cold because you don't want to cook your egg, scramble your egg into your mixture. So you mix that up. You add some a little bit of seasoned salt and some pepper to your mixture. You don't want to add it too much pepper because you don't want it peppery. You don't want it too hot. And you add your seasoned salt. Your seasoned salt is about maybe a teaspoon, a half a teaspoon of seasoned salt, or you can either season it to your taste. You're going to turn it on, get it to cooking. After you mix all of that together, all you have to do now is just mix in your cheese and your butter. Now you can either use I only use like a half a stick of this butter. I won't put the whole thing in there because then it'll be too much, because you only, if you're not making a lot. If I was making like a pound of macaroni, then I would use the whole stick. But since I'm only using half of the macaroni, I would only use half of the stick of butter. Then I'm going to put in some sour cream. And all of this is going to melt together. After that, then I'm going to take and I'm going to put in my noodles into all my mixture. And you just melt this down. Once it melts down, then you put your macaroni back in, and then you just bake it. Some people have added breadcrumbs on the top of theirs. I don't. I just let it come to a nice brown bottom. My mother-in-law, she used to take and grease the bottom of her pan when she would make her macaroni and cheese. She said, don't stick. I said, well, it really doesn't stick anyway, because you have that butter in there anyhow, so it should stick. But you know how the elderly people are. So now, just melt this down, and then add your macaroni, and then put it in the oven. Okay. And just melt it down. So now all we're going to do is add our macaroni back into the sauce. Then we're going to put it into the bowl. So let's add this macaroni into this sauce here, into our cheese sauce, I call it. And ooh, gotta be careful because you don't want to burn it on the stove. Okay. We're going to jack this into the pan. You're just going to mix it up into there. And then you're going to bring your pan over and you're going to pour it into your dish that you want to bake it in. Okay, let's get this pan over here. See what it looks like once you mix it? This is what it's going to look like. And then that's where all that cheese gets into this here dish. Let's drop this dish out. How this dish is going to be big enough. Now we're going to spoon this out because I don't want to splash it all over. So I'm going to spoon some of it out into the bowl. I know it looks kind of loose, but once it's baked, it's going to all bake into one. It's going to like melt, like not melt, it's going to like bind together. It's going to become thick. Now, maybe I can just pour some in here. If you can see me pouring this, it would be good. Great.
They'll take care of your viewing. You just enjoy the ride. Visit BuickCertifiedService.com for their latest service offers and everyday value.
That's an awful lot in there, isn't it?
Great American fix-up at the Home Depot. With new projects every week.
Take some of that out. It's not too much of that juice because it's going to bubble. Then we'll be back to check. Okay, it's time for us to check this macaroni and cheese to see if it's done.
Me, Mom! Me, Mom!
Oh my goodness, my grandkids are here!
Can I say
Sean
something?
and Zay. Hi, girls! Oh my gosh!
Hey, Mom.
Meemaw's getting ready to check her macaroni and cheese. Oh my goodness, look at this. Oh my gosh, this is fantastic. Don't this look good, girls? Don't this look good? Are y'all gonna stay for dinner?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Let me introduce you. This is Zalia, my granddaughter, and this is Kashana. She's the oldest, Miss Zalia. My boys are not here, but one of them is, and he's hiding. Maybe he's gonna come out. He showed me Mom his Halloween costume. He has it on. Is he gonna come out? Say Sean! Say Sean! Oh my gosh, come here! Oh, this is my grandson. Come on over here. Say hi to everybody. This is Sean. This is my grandson. Oh my God, are you gonna stay to dinner too? Great, great, great. Okay, let's get this on the road and your mom can plate up us some food as soon as the tenderloin get done. Okay, good. Okay, now you're ready. Wrap this up, cover it up. So I'm ready. It's time to try out there. Come on, girl. Y'all know me when I like to dance in the kitchen. Ooh, listen to that.
Walking through the park, it wasn't quite dark. There was a man sitting on a bench.
Okay, we done took the pork out the oven. We let it rest for about 15 minutes. Then we sliced it up
Okay, back
and
to
we
the
put
show.
the barbecue sauce all on top of it. So now it's time for us to get our eat on and taste what we have prepared for you today. We have the macaroni and cheese, we have the pork over on the stove, we have the string beans and the candy yams, which I'm going to bring those pots to the counter so we can plate up and eat.
You have pretty plates.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Watch out, girls. Watch out.
Damn.
It's the yam and the string beans. And we're going to get some forks and spoons and stuff, and we're going to plate up and we're going to eat. We're going to get our eat on. What you think? Oh, doesn't this look great? Oh, it looks so good. I don't even know where to start at myself.
We're bringing
I hear my other grandson say how
wonderful butter. But we're getting requests coming in. We want to hear from you on a Sunday night.
Okay, you want Delia? You want this pork?
Yes.
Delia, piece of pork. I'm not gonna give you a big piece because I don't know how much you like to eat. If you want more, you can always get more. You want some candy yams? You haven't tried me mom's yams. How about macaroni and cheese?
Yes.
Get some yams. Delia's my good eater. She's my girl that loves to eat what me mom cooks. We're gonna get her some string beans. It's the queen of the crop. And then we're gonna get some candy yams. Okay, let's get her some yams. I mean, get her some macaroni and cheese. We already done got it.
You ready to eat, Sean?
Yeah. Isn't this a lovely plate? This is a gorgeous plate. Tell me, you can stand right here in front of the camera. You can eat and let me mom know how you like her food. Oh, here goes Sean. You want something to eat too? You want a little bit? So you want me mom to find you a spoon? You want me to cut it in half? Or you want me just find you a little tiny piece? How about I find you a little tiny piece on the end? And always remember, when you serve in a plate, always make sure your plates are clean before you give them to your guests around the end. Never serve them a dirty plate. You always want your plate to look pretty as your food. So we're going to give him, he's not a big eater, so we're going to give him one yam. We're going to give him some string beans. If I recall, I remember him loving string beans. And we're going to give him some we're going to give him some macaroni and cheese. I told you, just remember, this is not a rehearsed program. This is live, so it tastes delicious. Oh my gosh, she loves it. You want to stand right here and eat it? Oh, we're going to have to make room for Shauna. Shauna wants to eat too. So let's move all of this here. And Shauna can stand right there and eat. Oh. Your mom has to move a little faster. Because Shauna, you want macaroni and cheese? That's his.
I'm sitting right here.
Give him back his plate. You want one or two yams? One yam?
Yeah, do this. I can't get that. Dirty woman, get this dirty.
You want some string beans?
No. Hey,
No
Mom.
string beans?
I'm not a
And
vegetable.
support. You're not a vegetable? Every girl should have vegetables. Make your skin pretty. You want a piece of pork?
She makes me do my stuff dirty.
Oh, me, mama, help you.
Thank you.
What you want done? You want to unzip?
Amen.
There you go. Now it's time for me, Mom, to get her grub on. I'll let you know how all this food tastes.
Thank you for pulling my.
Yeah, come on up here and eat with us. Me, Mom's getting ready to taste everything. This looks gorgeous. The girl's alright with me. Well, you have to eat your food before you get anything to drink. You know how your mom is. You know how your mom is.
Oh no, I didn't want to.
That's spicy. You have to eat it. It's candy sweet potatoes. Let me mark it. Oh, here's a fork. Okay. I hope you enjoy all these recipes that I prepared for you, and I hope you try them. So now it's time for me, Mom, to get her eat on. As usual. See ya.
Bye bye. See ya. See ya.
So good. You know the food's all right.